Hello everyone, and welcome to SUTD DSM podcast series. Earlier in the term, Root Student Relations have sent out a general feedback survey to the students, and we would like to thank everyone for your valuable feedback. After processing your feedback, we have decided to film 3-part podcast series where we have a focused group discussion between the students to get to know more about their perspectives on these commonly received feedbacks. And we hope you enjoyed this podcast series, and we'll see you on the DSM on 25th March. See you.
Hi guys, thanks for coming down.
Caitlin.
Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Sheng, currently a freshman term 2 student. So besides spending most of my time with my academics, I do have I'm also under this program called SHARP, SUTD Honors and Research Program. And also for 5th rows I joined SUTD's Hip Hop Club, also known as Dance Derivatives.
Hi, my name is Christy, and I am part of Greenprint Term 2 Freshmore. I guess my club helps me do what I like to do, what I'm passionate about, like the environment.
Welcome guys. So I'm Caitlin. I'm from Student Relations in SUTD Student Government. Today we're going to be talking to you guys about feedback for the school running up to DSM, which will be taking place in March this year. So as freshmores, we take several subjects. Which do you mainly have difficulty with, and could you elaborate a little bit on why?
I have a lot of difficulty with the more content-heavy subjects like chemistry, or like sustainable world, physical world, modeling, math basically. Yeah, I have a lot of trouble with those because I'm more of like art-based like student. How about you?
So for me, I feel that it will be more of term 1 subjects because I feel particularly towards physical work and modeling analysis, I feel it has been actually very fast paced and very content heavy in what they're teaching, like the expectations for every week. And also coming from a more diploma background, I'm more in tune towards like more technical and application side, but I realize this has been very application heavy or very theoretically heavy. So it's just a very steep learning curve and getting used to the pacing for university life.
I feel like SUTD like advertises as a school that teaches content or application, but right in our first 2 terms, we haven't really been seeing much of it. It's like mostly theoretical. So I'm not sure. It's not very enjoyable when everything is quite theoretical. Yeah. Also a lot of work.
Okay. So do you find that the pace of each lesson might be a little bit too fast, or like that kind of makes it difficult to follow?
Yeah, like definitely every week we're covering like a new topic, and I feel that for some of us we didn't do A levels, so we don't really have that background, and I guess that needs to be accommodated somehow, like because everyone has studied a different subject in like high school.
My worry is more towards like, because having went through the full term in term 1, like I find that finals has been actually very, very challenging because up to the week before, we are still learning new content. Then prior to that, you have your 2D week and a lot of your project presentation submissions. So it really doesn't give us that allowance of time to actually sit down, maybe internalize everything we've taught. So yeah, we barely have, I think it's less than 1 week to prepare for all 3 of our papers. It's been quite daunting, especially for first term.
So on the topic of group work, what are your opinions on the projects that we've been assigned, and I guess especially looking at the current grade weightage? What has your experience been, both in terms of working on these projects as a team and as well as the grade weightage that it's given?
I think because we're still in our first year and we haven't really gotten like GPAs yet, I'm not very sure how my exams and project work would affect my grade. But at this point, like just looking at the figures, like having 30% for like weightage of exams seems it could be reduced. Like looking at the amount of projects we have, I feel like it could be like a smaller component. We spend most of our time on projects.
Feel particularly is the current weightage for projects makes it very discouraging because the time spent to prepare for your projects, all your submissions, all this, but what comes out is actually a very small percentage, which leads, from me, what I observe is people not really wanting to immerse themselves really into the projects and just want to hit the bare minimum because the effort to reward ratio really doesn't show up. And a lot of time the finals component where you submit for the assignment actually is only a small percentage because a lot of pre-prep work takes up actually quite a substantial percentage. So once you secure the first few percentages, it doesn't really reward you to put in that much effort for your final submission, which is actually the main aim of the project itself.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So I guess looking at the projects, I understand probably you would have used the Fab Lab to kind of prototype and things like that. Do you find that the Fab Lab facilities are sufficient? And can you also comment on the booking system? How do you feel about, I guess, the use of Fab Lab facilities and its availability to students?
I guess it's kind of funny because I was trying to book some trainings for this term to learn up some skills for our design thinking mod, but I saw that like I couldn't book any trainings and it apparently like closed like on 28 Jan or something, and I guess then there's no more slots for us to train. So I feel it's quite like I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to train, and I'll have to like it's not very convenient. But I think the facilities are really good. I want to learn a lot more about them.
So for me, I think my main concern is towards more of the electronic side because for me, I wanted to do more of a electronics based project for my term 1 project. So when I reached there, I realized there's actually not a lot of like components for me to make use, and I have to provide most of it myself, like jumper cables. The wire they produced was not the main wires the single core wires were not nearly as sufficient. And there were not a lot of like basic electronic components available for us all to use at that point. And also and also what I heard was prior to COVID, we actually had 3D printers back at the think tank of our class. So maybe as the easing comes, so perhaps you could bring back the 3D printers back to the think tank. So it'll actually be much more beneficial, because if not, it's quite troublesome that we have to go through the bureaucracy of all the 3D printing process in Fab Lab, whereas you can just do in the comfort of our own classes.
Thanks guys for sharing. So Sheng, I hear you're in Sharp. Can you tell me a little bit about what that's like?
So for Sharp, which is more of a research-based program, so for during our freshman time, we need to have basically like extra classes out of our current allocated timetable for like honor sessions. So particularly coming straight from my national service, so I've been rather less in tune with academics in general, so it has been quite challenging. And also it serves as comes at a very rude awakening call that I need to be more up to task with my work. So perhaps something better would be a much smoother, less steep easing process perhaps. Because I feel that actually, even though the content might be quite advanced, but there could be more bridging stuff to ease us in. But otherwise, the process has been rather enjoyable, because when everyone is suffering together, we actually learn together through this whole process. We meet quite a few like-minded people throughout the whole program.
So I hear from my friends who are in Sharp that the teaching pace can be pretty fast. Do you feel you have a similar experience? or do you think it's okay to kind of keep up with the classes?
True that it is true that the pace has been quite fast, because our understand is because they only allocated 4 weeks 4 weeks also to prepare, but perhaps I think our term 1 was much more greatly affected because of the sudden COVID restrictions that came in. So hopefully we hope that it will be a one-off thing, perhaps for batches after us, their experience will be much more spaced out and manageable in that context.
I understand the classes are also at night. Do you find that that is a good timing to have the lessons, or would you prefer for these classes to be scheduled some other time? And I guess, do you have an idea of when?
I feel it's a result of no choice, as all of us are in different freshman cohort classes. So in order to ensure that no one's timetable are compromised or have overlapping schedules, I think night is some of a necessary sacrifice, per se.
So Sheng, can you tell me a bit about the projects you do for SHARP?
Also in Sharp, for my first term, I took a project, more physical project, which is more towards robotics, or it's called multi-robot collaboration, where we try to have multiple robots to engage in something called SLAM, which is more towards autonomous navigation. So far, for my project, it's a bit more unique because most of my friends did more towards like mathematical math modeling projects. Some modeled like terms in, I think, Apple or so, but mine was a bit more interesting because we had physical components to our project. Throughout, funding has been quite readily because we were working under we were attached to a specific profile for our project. So I think, but the project is more of a introduction, less so something you want to complete, which we didn't complete. I think we managed to delve deep enough to gain a better understanding of. To see it is more to pick our personal interest as for pillar, when we approach our pillar years, we are expected to choose a specific research focus, so more towards experience. And for now, I'm about to take a project called to use using laser to attempt to eavesdrop through conversation through window. So when you point your laser at a window, then as you receive the laser back, you can somewhat listen to conversations.
That's so great, but is that legal?
More towards process, less so of application.
Gotta be careful what I say around Sheng when there's a window nearby, you know?
Who knows?
Is it like it's very hands-on?
It's more of a, from what I see, it's more of an electronics project. So it's really more to really getting it out, like a physical, like what you see is what you get. We try to get more definitive results, less of crunching numbers and doing mathematics.
Mm.
I guess, do you think there's enough funding and facilities for SHARP in school?
I think funding is fine, but I think facilities will be a more pressing issue. Because back in my term 1 days, because I mentioned I'm doing robotics, so we taught our robots in our think tank in my class called 10. So apparently it was also the holding area for previous year 377 projects. So I think at one point they decided to shift all the projects to another place. So unluckily ours got shifted to. It was a day filled with anxiety as we were panicking around to see where our robots were held. So we went around and someone directed us to facilities. Then it was actually quite efficient, since within less than a day we managed to get our robots back. So something I would maybe hope there will be is more of a sharp room dedicated for sharp, so we can store our stuff, and some also a co-working area for us to just network with different generations per se.
Actually, what were the robots for? I saw them around.
Oh, that was the robots that we used for navigation. So it was supposed to the robots are intended to map arbitrary area of a arbitrary area, but for us we decided to focus more towards my classroom. So we had two robots trying to map the classroom. So two better than one. So two robots will map the whole place faster. So that's a more core thought lor. Having a arbitrary area efficiency with two robots efficiency times two lor. Okay.
Like those vacuum robots that knows the layout of like your home.
Yeah, it's
Like
somewhat like those.
Oh,
But
okay.
more towards more and this was more prototypey and more focused towards mapping during our current implementation.
So where would you see something like that being applied, I guess?
Well, actually this was applied, I think, towards shopping malls or warehouse, like what was mentioned for cleaning purposes. So you see, I think there was a product about to be developed. From what I heard, is like a series of family robots. So like a family, you have a bigger size and a smaller size, like for different applications of for a large area or space cover.
Kind of sounds like the 3007 projects. The examples.
Yeah. Oh, because those were developed by them. It's called Lionsbot.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Lionsbot.
Lionsbot.
Oh.
Okay, thanks for sharing. So Christy, can you tell me a bit more about campus life? I understand we're all first years here, so I'm sure we've all had somewhat varied or diverse experiences moving into school. Can you share a bit more about your campus life so far?
Ever since starting school, I feel we had like a few hostel events here and there, but they're mainly online. So I felt like I couldn't connect with people very much. Then now when restrictions are easing a bit, I feel like we could have more events like going around, like more physical events, and ones that are like more easy to organize, as in like not having to go through so many like approval processes, because like I guess campus life is very important for like all students. I'm sure you guys can agree, like we alongside work is like a really good balance to have like some sort of enjoyment outside of class. Yeah, and I feel like right now there isn't enough campus life events. Yeah, so I guess it will benefit like everyone's mental health. Yeah, just liking going to school more.
Thanks for sharing. So I understand you both are in different, quite different fifth rows. What are your experiences in those fifth rows, and how do you feel that maybe the experience can be improved, or in terms of like management or the experience as a whole?
Wait, okay. Can I go back to the previous question?
Sure.
Like I feel like the responsibility for like students are in charge of like organizing the campus life activities, but I feel like because there isn't like a lot of students in school, it may be better to have us like some dedicated staff to help us with organizing, so it makes the processes easier, and like more manpower to organize more events. Yeah, because I feel like it's a lot of pressure to put it on like route to organize everything.
So Christy, you're talking about campus life.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned having events and maybe more physical events. Have there been any such physical events that you've attended, and any kind of events that you'd like to see more of in school?
Events I've attended, like last week's Valentine's Carnival, that was pretty fun. Like it was fun because it was like one of those that I haven't had for like I don't know how many years. Yeah, but I think also maybe a lot more music events, not just like one concert and like forever, but like more music events. What else? Do you have any ideas?
I was thinking more of like, I think because actually we got quite a few arts and culture fifth rows in our school. So maybe it could be a more recurring event where the clubs organize their own respective productions or per se. So what I was really looking forward to will be bringing back a dance production.
What do you mean, like uh, set up a stage in
Like
the
a show,
school and
like
then,
like numerous items for like around 1 hour, 2 hours of a lot a whole production, or a whole show per se, a whole dance show.
Got something like that in the auditorium. Is
Ah, yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah, and I think I guess like it would be better if it's easier to organize events, like the process a bit more, like a bit less files and like at approval to get through. Then I feel like every club, it would be easier for every club to hold like events around school, so show like the rest of the school what we've been doing and like feel proud of it.
I think some of the art cluster fifth rows I mentioned they had difficulty kind of organizing music events or basically events within their cluster because of the COVID restrictions. We're hoping that that will ease up soon, and that they'll be able to use it to kind of raise club funds at the same time, and also to get a bit more of their figure out there.
You know, the NUS, they have like live performances without masks now. I don't know, like, and it's just like very, very casual. People just sitting on the floor listening to somebody sing. So I think like I look and I'm like, wow, but ours is so uptight. Like I don't know why we're like our school's so uptight about like the restrictions.
So to build on that, actually currently there are actually like, so I've been to a few dance productions in the recent months, and apparently as per NAC guidelines, these kind of events can actually take place following their so-called their vaccinated something system. So
Declaration system.
so there's already a series of safety protocols that are already approved out by NAC. So maybe the school could look out into that. So which will really bring back some sort of culture, like arts culture, back into the school. Because you can see a lot of people around me seems very stressed out with school life. So it will be very good release for the performers and people who go and visit those.
Yeah, and like if you walk around our campus right now, I feel like everyone that visits says our campus is like some ghost town or something. Like it's like so quiet. Like there could be stuff like, you know, more noise, something going on, making people hype. Or like he said that he wanted more like dance production. So like, but then you said something about like how you like your instructors aren't paid for. Very hard for you guys to pursue dance like passionately and like seriously, right? Do you want to tell us about that?
Not sure, because actually to prep for like bigger events, of course your club need to be at a somewhat stable footing. And the stable footing I feel is really provided by the instructors we have. And now from what I've seen from the scene here so far is something that is stopping us from really aiming high, aiming big, is a lot of our club funds that students self-fund themselves go to the instructors. So maybe perhaps I feel school can really like pay for the arts club instructor fees, or provided maybe when they hit a certain weekly or monthly recurring membership rates for the club. So it really gives a very decent foothold to really bring up the art scene or culture towards SUTD. And particularly now, since we are still preparing to exit COVID, so it could be a very good time to build our foundation, have funding for instructors. So when everything comes back, we can be very ready to take up bigger challenges and not be hindered by the losses that we faced during COVID.
How much is it that you guys have to pay for the instructor?
Really depends on the school preset rates. Like there's something called GEBIS. I think rates spend about more hourly, almost 100 per hour for dance. I'm not very sure for the other clubs.
Or like to teach everyone together, 100? Oh,
So perhaps maybe towards a budget, clubs can work out a suitable budget plan for hourly budget plan. But at least something is better than nothing.
Where do you get your funding from?
Mainly is student contribute club fund.
Oh,
So most of
what?
our student contributed funds are really allocated towards paying instructors. Because let's understand, as full-time artists, they do have their bills to pay off, and we really need to consider that.
So other than the seed fund, you don't have any, like, SUTD doesn't give your club any, like, subsidize anything?
From what I heard from my side, I don't think there's much to go around.
Oh, wow.
I think clubs can get their own income if they have events or like raise club funds basically. So for example, I'm in volleyball and we participated in the Valentine's Day event, and then we set up a booth there, and then from there we could earn club funds, which go back into the club's income. So I think for the arts cluster, it's actually a bit harder because they haven't really been able to organize events. Hopefully that's picking up soon. Spring hits around the corner.
Or towards ticketed shows or
So ticketed shows, I think, is usually where the arts cluster gets their income for club funds, which probably has been difficult the past year, 2 years.
Next time in carnivals, can you make it bigger so we can, like, a lot of clubs can hold their own booths? Because I feel like Greenprint, we have quite a bit of funds because I feel like a lot of organizations like to sponsor for sustainability. So, but I guess we have to also start thinking about how we want to earn funds too. So I feel like I'd really want to be part of more carnivals. Yeah.
Actually, can you tell me a bit about Greenprint? I don't really know what goes on there.
Okay, yeah. Greenprint is like the school's eco-friendly sustainability club where we organize mainly events to like spread awareness about like sustainable practices around school, which we are working on right now. It'll go around. We recently organized like a donation drive, if you've seen it around school. Yeah, and then got a lot of donations. Because I feel like people in SUTD seem very supportive of the initiative. Yeah, they donated a lot. And then what else do we do? We organize like trips to like hikes to farms and like, yeah, so over the weekend we went to an urban farm where you basically grow plants in like a smart way, save on water, nutrients and stuff by like there's something called like aeroponics where you grow the plants on like a pillar, and then inside the pillar there's like mist diffused, like mist with nutrients in it, and it goes into the roots of plants, so it saves a lot on the water. So we learn stuff like that like when we're on the trip. Soon we're going to go like to a goat farm and learn about like, how milk is produced and like how big a carbon footprint it has on like the environment. Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, be fun.
Thing.
You should join.
I'll try and see if can fit it in.
You can just join for the event, like the trips. Yeah. you
Also,
don't
it
need
doesn't
to be
require
part-
regular membership.
Yeah, just whoever is like free and interested during.
I understand SUTD recently launched this thing called SSPC. It's the SUTD Sustainability Plan Committee. Is Greenprint collaborating with them to
Yeah. We are collaborating with them. I guess they have our backs when it comes to like our projects that we're organizing right now. It feels good to have like a big committee like backing us up. Yeah. So right now we're also, with the help of them, we're building a green library under HDBs in Bukit Panjang, and it's made out of like decommissioned MRT seats. And, like the handles are used as like to line the light bulbs on the ceiling. Like there's different parts of the train doors and stuff are gonna be used as like shelving or something. Yeah, we're right now it's gonna be like implemented in March, so it'll be built like then.
Wow,
Very
that's really
excited.
soon. That's really soon. Nice. Okay. Y'all have really interesting fifth rows.
How about you? Can you tell us about your fifth row?
Other than root, I'm in volleyball. So we have Sunik coming up. Well, actually next week. This one is kind of a postponed Sunik. Usually it takes place in September, but it's taking place in February this year. We've received, I guess, quite a lot of support from the school through OSL, so Office of Student Life. They've been kind of guiding us through the process, especially since a lot of my team are freshmores, so we're quite new to volleyball, especially. Um, they've been really supportive in terms of sports equipment. Recently, actually, our pole that holds the net, the pole is broken. And so OSL is helping us to look into like how we can get that repaired or replaced. And then also running up to the competition, they've been really supportive in terms of getting us transportation to the venue to be at SIM, so quite far away, and also getting new balls and like first aid equipment and tape. So I think so far my experience with SUTD fifth rows has been pretty enjoyable. And I think OSL has been really helpful in that experience.
But then what's the difference between how easily you get funding and how easily DDZ can get funding? It seems there's like an imbalance here.
Yeah, I'm not sure the comparison. I guess I am not in that many fifth rows. I'm not in an arts cluster fifth row. I think that it I guess for volleyball, because I'm in the exco, so I interact a bit more with OSL, and I understand that the staff in charge for OSL sports cluster, they are quite understanding and quite supportive. I think for arts cluster, I've spoken to them as well. I think they are actually very nice. Maybe can try and get the exco to maybe talk to them a bit, like drop them an email, or maybe set up a meeting. I think they'll be quite willing to get in touch and maybe help with some of the issues that fifth rows are facing.
Yeah, you might want to recommend to your exco.
It's a bit hard because of the demographic of SUTD, it's more of a tech and engineering school, so the understandable arts would be it will be harder to push off, but there are still ways we can really push off.
What's that? Well, let's move on to the canteen. I know the food options are somewhat limited, and from my understanding, OSIF is looking into that now, based on last round of DSM. So let's talk about canteen infrastructure, which is something that we haven't really talked about before. Do you think there's a lack of seating in the canteen now, and is the ventilation and lighting in the canteen sufficient?
You targeted like the two things that are like very, very that needs work on. It's like you walk to the canteen and it's like some gloomy like room, like the lighting is just I don't even know, like the light only comes in from the side of the building, like where it's open, and like where you walk is like really dark. I don't know why. Yeah, and then like seating, I feel like during peak timings like 12:30 to 1:30 when people end classes, it's always so crowded, and like sometimes it's hard to find seating. Yeah, and now with like actually I don't know if we're allowed to sit on like square tables with like 5 people, but like there isn't many round tables that can sit like a lot of people. Yeah. Or I just feel like because some people that don't study in SUTD or like they work around like in CCP, they also come to SUTD to eat, and that I feel like the number of seats don't really accommodate for like for people that want to eat there. But then that's not the big problem though. The big problem is like the number of like stores there are. There's how many stores? There's Indian food,
Western.
Healthy soup, Japanese, Korean, fish
Taiwan.
rice, drink store. I think takoyaki store just closed.
Yeah, they close.
Six.
6 in the canteen. Then there's bistro and gom gom and
Good cooks.
good cooks. It seems like a number, but it's like if you have to eat food every day, it's like very little options. Yeah, you eat the same thing every day.
So it's like actually after 6 or 7, there's actually not much of a food choice around. There's only D Bistro, or if you're desperate now, is Pick and Go.
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
So actually, I feel it's more towards peak periods in school, like with all your submissions coming. You don't really want to leave school for food, so you invest. There's more. There's food shops opening till late currently.
Yeah, like what time do you 30?
I think 8:30 would be best.
Yeah.
I guess especially since it's a university,
Yeah.
campus life at night. Probably.
Yeah, and we do have
where we need-
hostels here also.
Yeah. So especially if you stay on campus, I guess the limited food options are difficult and especially at night,
Yeah.
pretty difficult to get. I understand because after training, my training ends at 11. And I usually don't eat dinner before training because I find it difficult to kind of run around on a full stomach. So I tend to try and order my dinner after training, and that can be pretty difficult because many shops are closed by that time and not really a lot of options, or actually there are no options in school.
And what do you do? Go out of school?
I try and order from Foodpanda or any other delivery service that still has stores open.
But that's quite expensive to get it ordered.
Yeah, for it to happen regularly is not very sustainable, I guess. Yeah.
But I think maybe because of the rent in SUTD, I'm not exactly sure why not many restaurants want to set up here, but if it's to do with the rent, I feel like maybe it may be better to, like, I got a suggestion from a friend to, like, in order to attract more food vendors, they should reduce the rent or like make it no rent. Yeah, subsidized rent. So the food vendors don't need to worry about whether they're making profit, and they can at the same time can like satisfy like students. Yeah, like kills two birds with one stone. Like.
I think OSIF is looking into other bringing in new vendors. Hopefully that will be successful. I mean, I think that's mostly for the canteen. I'm not sure for late night options. Maybe we can bring that up to them. Okay, so maybe one last question about feedback platforms. Do you feel that there are sufficient platforms for you to sort of provide feedback, and I guess if you face any issues in school, do you believe that there are ways you can reach out and get support or help for any of the problems you face in school?
Not really. I do know we were assigned like a mentor when you first came here. Other than that, I'm not sure how to like voice my concerns. Yeah.
Very decentralized also. We don't really know where we're approaching is the right place to solve our problems. Better if there's something like more one-stop-ish or a clearer pathway where we can approach to solve our problem.
Okay. So do you think that should be something like an office, or for example, we have a root telebot, which is basically a bot on Telegram where students can provide feedback. Basically, they just open the bot and then just type in their feedback, and then it gets processed by a student relations. Or would you prefer for something to be like an office where you can kind of walk in and raise any issues? Of course, that one will be I guess, somewhat limited because it'll be during office hours only. What do you feel about those?
I feel like maybe I feel maybe both. Yeah. Like if we think we walk into a campus center, where's the reception? I don't know what you call it. Like when you want to find information, like where do you go? It's not very obvious. Like what's the one-stop center? I don't know what that is. And like I feel like every part of every like established building there should be some sort of reception, or like somewhere you can go to seek help, like immediate help somewhere.
Like information there.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's not very clear. Is there like information desk in school somewhere?
I know that the one-stop center, although I've never really been there. I've only been there to like pick up ART test kits for volleyball, or maybe for to pick up equipment used for events. I'm not sure what else I can actually do there.
Yeah, I don't know what
Yeah,
that
and
is.
then like in terms of like information desks around school, I don't really that. I guess security guards at hostel, for example, or at entrance points at school are probably my go-to. Yeah, but I don't really know of a formal kind of arrangement for that.
I feel like that's a problem.
Something we can work on, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
One stop doesn't really feel that one stop has. I think a lot of students face issues with the rate card. I think the place to go is facilities.
I think, IT
Yeah.
or facility.
Because it's like, and also IT is not at one stop also. And those are the few officers that actually students, like every year they will need help with, because as you matriculate in, you need to install your new things, and one stop does not cover that. I think more student admin based, student administration, like I think your matriculation admin, the usual like your addresses. I think if you have any financial aid, I think it's there also.
I see.
I just tech and facilities are not there. I think facilities is all the way at Fab Lab.
I guess the one-stop center is probably managed by Office of Student Life, so that's probably why most of my equipment and etc. is picked up there. Hence why they probably don't handle the IT and tech side of things.
Also, if I have something, but then if I have like a feedback for school, can I go there? One-stop center.
I think not for.
Okay.
I think right now in terms of feedback, Root tries to collect through the telebot, and also I guess through forms like the pre-DSM form that we've sent out recently. For the Root telebot, you can the Telegram handle is SUTD_root_bot. So if you want to check that out.
Okay.
That will be helpful.
Yeah. But what about what's the form about? Is it the one the
the
wellness
feedback form that we sent out via email and
the
Telegram.
wellness survey?
Oh no. We sent out a Root Student Relations feedback form. This is to collect feedback running up to this year's fall DSM, so that we can kind of get an idea of the issues that students are facing this term, and kind of collate the issues and gather statistics on I guess how pertinent these issues are for a large proportion of student population, and then we can raise these to senior management, who will then look into how they can improve.
I see. Okay.
Thanks guys for coming down.
Thank you very much also.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for giving us your time.
I hope that the school can act on our feedback, because like students should feel heard, Yeah. Also staff and profs, like if they have like issues too, maybe I don't know how they submit their feedback, but I feel like everyone that
There's a voice.
everyone should feel like they have a voice. Yeah.